صلي على رسوله الكريم. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي واجعل لي وزيرا من أهلي. ربي يسر ولا تؤسر وتمم بالخير وبك نستعين يا فتاح. ربي زدني علما. ربي هب لي حكما وألحقني بالصالحين. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. ربي هب لي حكما وألحقني بالصالحين. ربي هب لي حكما وألحقني بالصالحين. ربي اغفر لي وهب لي ملكا لا ينبغي لأحد من بعدي إنك أنت الوهاب. ربنا أتمم لنا نورنا واغفر لنا إنك على كل شيء قدير. آمين يا أرحم الراحمين. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Once again, Alhamdulillah, by the grace and tawfiq of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, today we are going to talk about ayah number 81 and 82 of Surah Al Imran. So we will go over the recitation and word by word meaning first. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
وَإِذْ أَخَذَ اللَّهُ مِيثَاقَ النَّبِيِّينَ لَمَا آتَيْتُكُم مِّن كِتَابٍ وَحِكْمَةٍ ثُمَّ جَاءَكُمْ رَسُولٌ مُّصَدِّقٌ لِّمَا مَعَكُمْ لَتُؤْمِنُنَّ بِهِ وَلَتَنصُرُنَّهُ قال أأقررتم وأخذتم على ذلكم إصري قالوا أقررنا قال فاشهدوا وأنا معكم من الشاهدين.
وَإِذْ and when, إِذْ when, like it's used in the sense of remember when this happened. So وَإِذْ and when, أَخَذَ, to take something. أَخَذَ اللَّهُ, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took mithaq. Mithaq is a covenant, a strong promise, a written down, a strong pact or an agreement between two parties. And mithaq, the same root, ma, mim, tha, and qaf, is also used for grass, which takes a strong hold in the sand and it stays for the whole season. Like especially in desert weather, what happens is when people plant something, it doesn't usually stay green. Like it just because of extreme heat or something, it burns down very quickly and everything. As opposed to that, there is a certain grass which like somebody plants and everything, and it stays the whole season, and the animals are able to eat from it and everything. So mathaka is used in that sense. That's something that stays strong for the whole time. It doesn't lose its grip or anything. Mithaq is also used in Arabic for, let's say, a prisoner and who's tied for a certain term, and that the chain or something that he's tied from is called mithaq. That he's not going anywhere for whatever term he has been sentenced to. He's chained for that sentence. He cannot run away. He cannot leave. So it's like a strong something. It's bound between that. So that meaning. Also in Surah Baqarah, we came across wathaqa, right? After Ayat al-Kursi, we have the ayah La ikraha fid din. And then we say it's the wathaqa comes there, right? Like, so the stronghold that does not let go, that we hold on to the stronghold that does not let go. So that comes in that sense as well. So mithaq, in a sense, is used for something that two parties agree to, and it's a strong pact. It's an agreement. It's a contract that is either written down or it's you're bound by it, and the parties have agreed to it. Right? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took a mithaq. And who did he take the mithaq from? An-nabiyyin, of the prophets. The mithaq of the prophets. Lama, certainly. Lam is for certainly, and ma for whatever. Certainly, whatever. So there's a taqid in it. There's emphasis in it. Lama ataytukum. When I've given to all of you min kitabin, of the book. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took the covenant of the prophets, that certainly whatever I have given you of the book, wa hikmatin, and wow is and hikmatin, of the wisdom, thumma, then, ja'akum, comes to you, ja'a comes, kum, to all of you, ja'akum rasulun, a messenger, musaddiqun, Sadaqa is for truth, right? Musaddiqun, it does a tasdeeq of it, verifies. So the messenger who came, a messenger comes to you and he verifies lima, that which ma'akum is with you of the book and the hikmah. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took a covenant from all the prophets that whenever that I have given you some book and wisdom, and whenever a messenger comes to you who confirms whatever is with you, then you must believe in him. لَتُؤْمِنُنَّ bihi, then you must believe in him. So here again, the way this word, so amana is to believe, like iman is to believe. But here, if we see lam is for emphasis, and whenever there's a noon shadda at the end of the word, that's also for an added emphasis. So it's like emphasis upon emphasis, right? So there's a lot of emphasis in this ayah. It's like here also lam of emphasis. Here also lam is for emphasis, and then um, La here Islam is for emphasis, and then Noon Mushaddad is for emphasis. So it's a very strongly worded statement that you will certainly, definitely, you will not let go of this. This is something very, very strong. This is something binding that you must definitely believe in him, be he in him, in meaning in that prophet that comes to you. Wala nas wala sorry, wala tansurunnahu, and again the same emphasis, lam and nun mushaddad, double emphasis, and wow is and definitely you must help, you definitely must help him. Who him? So not only will you believe in him, so if a prophet comes to you, then not only will you believe, which who's confirming what you already have in your books and the wisdom that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you, then you must believe in him and you must also help him. Qala, he said, meaning Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, aqrartum, is for question, like do you do this? Aqrartum, meaning to affirm something, like doing iqrar of something, like so you confirm that. Meaning this covenant that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is taking, this mithaq that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is taking, he's saying, do you confirm this? وَأَخَذْتُمْ, and take ala ذَلِكُمْ, that condition isri. Isri is something like the word ahad could have also have been used for a covenant, for a promise that has been made, but isri is used for the sense that there's something that we make a promise, but because of that promise, we feel the weight or the burden of responsibility on our shoulders. We actually feel something on us. Some like even in Surah Baqarah, we ask in the last ayah, we use the same word isri, that Ya Allah, don't put a burden upon us that we find it hard to bear, right? So and the same word is used, isri. So it's like Isri is like the weight, and there in the sense it's used for the sense of the Sharia and the commands of the Sharia. So we're asking Allah, Ya Allah, don't put a burden upon us, like only put those commands of Sharia and things on us that we are able to bear. Don't put upon us any weight which we don't have, any burden which we are not able to bear. Right? So this here it means in the meaning of that this covenant, this promise, this contract that they have made with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it comes with a lot of responsibility. It comes with a lot of burden. It has like when we owe somebody something, when we made a contract with somebody, and a person who does that contract seriously, a person who actually means it will feel the weight of it, that oh my god, I have to fulfill this, I have to fulfill this, and until it is fulfilled, that person feels that weight upon their shoulders. So it's in that sense that so this word gives that connotation, that do you affirm this covenant, this mithaq, and do you take on the conditions of this mithaq as like the burden on yourself as isri, right? Qalu, they said, uh, aqrarna, that we affirm, like they agreed to this. Qala, then he said, meaning Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, fashhadu, fa, then uh, ishhadu, that to bear witness, like shahada, to bear witness. So bear witness, wa ana, and I am ma'akum, ma'a, with kum, all of you, and I am with all of you, minash shahideen, among the witnesses. So this contract, what are the witnesses? Like usually when we make any contract, we have witnesses. Like we have any business contract, we have witnesses. We are buying or selling a house, we have witnesses in the contract and everything. We have an employment contracts, we have witnesses that sign and everything. And here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that you have agreed to this contract with me and you bear witness and I am a witness with you. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself is saying that I am myself a witness in this with you. So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us in this ayah that And recall, O people of scripture, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took the covenant of the prophets, saying, whatever I give you of the scripture and wisdom, and then there comes to a messenger confirming what is with you, you must believe in him and support him. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, have you acknowledged and taken upon that my commitment? And they said, we have acknowledged it. So he said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, then bear witness, I am with you among the witnesses. And the next ayah, ayah number 82.
فمن تولى بعد ذلك فأولئك هم الفاسقون.
Faman, then whoever. Fa is for then, man, whoever. Then whoever tawalla turns away, ba'da dhalika, ba'da after dhalika that. So whoever turns away after that, and that here refers to the mithaq. So whoever turns away after having made that contract, after having made that covenant with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, fa'ulaika, then those people, meaning those who turn away, those humul fasikun, those are the ones who are fasikun, who are fasik, who are disobedient. And fasik is a word that we've learned about this word before, but fasik literally means that somebody who gets out of limits, right? So for example, there's a bud and a flower comes out of that bud, right? So the flower, it literally gets out of it, like the flower gets out of the bud. Or when a fruit is rotting and it starts to rot and everything, and it rots so much. When it first starts to rot, it starts to rot on the inside, and we can't see it on the outside, right? And but there comes a stage when like there is a little hole that happens, and the filth starts oozing out of it, and that's called fisk. That it starts to ooze out of it, like something starting to come out of it. Also, it is used in the sense like in Surah Kahf, ayah number 50, we read, for fasaka an amri rabbi, for shaitan, that he broke the commandment of his sustainer, right? So he broke away. So it is, fisk is used in the sense of somebody who gets out of the obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, somebody gets out of the itat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asks to do something and they get out of that commandment. And somebody could be a small fasik, and there could be a big fasik as well, right? So somebody could do a little bit fisk, and fasik could be amongst the disbelievers. Fasik could also be among the Muslims, that they are disobedient and everything. So it doesn't mean that just because somebody is a Muslim that they are totally obedient and everything. It could be that somebody is a fasik like that as well. So, right. So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that those who turn away after having made the mithaq, then those are the people who are the fasik, who are the disobedient. So inshallah we'll look at these two ayat in a little bit more detail. Ayah number 81. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made the prophets, and this includes, first of all, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, an-nabiyina, right? So it includes all the prophets. Now, through the Quran and the Sunnah, we know of around 25 prophets, but we also know that there have been more than, at least, and more than 124,000 prophets. 124,000 prophets there have been, at least, and there are more than that. We know that for sure. So that the prophets have told us there have been more prophets, but we know about some of them through through the Quran, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala picked some of them and told us more about them. But no matter whether we know about that prophet or not, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made all the prophets, all 124,000 of them or and more, enter into a contract with him, saying, and that was the contract that was there with all the prophets, every single prophet, that if I give you a book and wisdom, and then comes to you a messenger verifying what is with you, you shall have to believe in him, and you shall have to support him, right? And then he asked them, do you affirm and you accept my covenant in this respect? And they said, we affirm. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, then bear witness and I am with you among the witnesses. So one thing is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives, so first Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has used the word Nabiyin here, that he took the mithaq from all the Nabiyin. And we know all the prophets are Nabi, but there are some Nabi out of the Nabi, some are Rasul. And usually these two words, Nabi and Rasul, can be used interchangeably, right, at different places. But there is a principle in Arabic, when the two very similar meaning words, when they come together, then there is a difference in the meaning that is highlighted as well. So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is used in the beginning of the ayah that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took a covenant from all the prophets. And then he said, and when there comes to you a Rasul, right? Here, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has used the word Rasul later. So Nabeen, all the prophets who give the news, and Naba is what? Naba is a news, right? So all the prophets who give the news, or all the prophets of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they give the news to the people and everything. But there's some people who are in charge of teaching as well, right? There's some people who have the Sharia who are supposed to teach, who take on this job of going ahead and teaching people and everything. So those are the Rasul, right? So all prophets are Nabi, but some are Rasul, right? So here Allah SWT took a prophet, mithaq from all the Nabi, all the Nabiyun, and then when a Rasul comes to you. A Rasul is like, for example, Yaqub alayhi salam. In his story, we don't see Yaqub alayhi salam in the story going out and giving dawa and like teaching the people and everything, as opposed to Musa alayhi salam. We see Musa alayhi salam as teaching the people, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam teaching the people and everything, like Isa alayhi salam teaching the people, right? So Musa alayhi salam, Isa alayhi salam, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they are teaching the people. They are Rasul of Allah, subhanahu wa ta'ala. As opposed to that, Nabiin, Nabi could be somebody who's not actively teaching, but he's just giving the news, like Yaqub alayhi salam. We see that, like Zakaria alayhi salam, right? So we see that. And then here it says that if I give you a book and wisdom, and then there comes to a messenger verifying what is with you. So meaning that confirming the prophecies that are already with you. So and looking at the context of the people of the book and the time of Medina, at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, it would mean that confirming the prophecies with you, meaning with the advent of Rasulullah, when Rasulullah ﷺ came and Islam came, and his characteristics and his achievements were there. These Through these characteristics and achievements of the Prophet ﷺ, the prophecies of the Torah and the Bible were being fulfilled. They were finally being fulfilled. And these people, the people of the book, had been waiting for a prophet with these particular characteristics and attributes. Right? They had been waiting for these, exactly the prophet who has these characteristics and these attributes. And with the coming of the Prophet ﷺ and his achievements and his attributes and his characteristics, their own prophecies were being fulfilled. So he was verifying what was with them. Musaddiqul lima ma'akum. He was verifying what was already with them. And through this verification, through this fulfillment of these prophecies, actually the people of the book were being honored. They were the ones who were being primarily being honored by this, that they had this knowledge, like the people of Arabia, the other people of Arabia, the mushrikeen of different places. They didn't have this knowledge. The people of book had this knowledge. And when they saw this knowledge that they had been studying so much, and when they saw the Prophet ﷺ and the unlettered prophet and all the other characteristics that he had, which they already knew about in their book, they were seeing it in front of it. It's like almost like we learn about something in the Quran and we see that happening in front of our eyes, or we learn something from Hadith and we see that happening in front of our eyes. Then what is that supposed to do? That is supposed to increase our iman. That is supposed to help us get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and everything. So these people were being honored by that. These people were, their faith was being confirmed by that. But what they ended up doing was they rejected the prophet who was confirming them. So the prophet who came to confirm them, who was confirming what was with them, they ended up rejecting the same prophet, right? And this was one of the things that's so sad and unfortunate as well. And then they were the losers in that sense, right? But that was the primary covenant that was there with them. They had agreed to this with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Also, we know that whichever one Nabi did not get the book, right? Like all there were many prophets that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent, but not everybody was given the book. There were select few who were given the book. And we learn from some narrations that there were over 300 books that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent, and we know of only four through our tradition. We know obviously the Quran, then we know the Torah, the Bible, and the Zabur, right? So we know of only four by name, but we know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had sent other books as well. And there is a narration that more than 300 books were there. And whenever a Nabi would come and there is no other book, then what he would do, he would follow the previous prophet's book. Whatever book was there at that time, he would follow that only until the new book comes or something else was revealed, right? So and then what is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala telling us? That when a Rasul comes, then you have to do two things. There were two things that the prophets were told that they have to do. One, they would believe in him. That latu'minunna bih, that you will believe in this prophet who comes. The second, that you will aid him, that you must help him. Wala tansurunnahu. Sorry, wala tansurunnahu. Okay, that you must help him. So there were two things, right? That you'll believe in him and you will help him, right? And they agreed, all the prophets agreed, and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said this. And if we think of the covenants that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has taken from people, there are three kinds of covenants that are mentioned. And the one of them is which the covenant that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took from all humankind, all of mankind, including me and you, that is called Ahade Alast. That is mentioned in Surah Al-Araf, ayah number 172, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asked us, Alastu bi rabbikum? Am I not your Rabb? When we were all in Alam Arwa, when we are all in the form of souls, all our souls were together at one point, and when all of us were together, all the souls, all of us were together at one point, like everybody, white, black, east, west, wherever we're going to be, whichever generation or time period we're going to be born in, the first person from Adam alayhi salam to the last human being that will be born, every child that lives for like a few hours until, and every person who will live for more than 100 years, every single person of the mankind was there. All our souls were there, all our ruh were there, and we were all together in the Alame Arwa. Alame Arwa, the place where all the souls were gathered together. And when all of us were together, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asked all of us a question, and He made us uh, tie into a contract that He said, Alastu bi rabbikum, am I not your Rabb? And that's called a Ahade Alast, that we made this contract with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that am I not your Rabb? And we said, Bala, yes, definitely you are our Rabb. We will worship you alone and everything. And so in a sense that this message of worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone, it has been installed in our memory. It's like something that is installed in our software. It is there in our memory. So by our fitra, every single person is a Muslim by fitrah. When we are born, our fitrat is on Islam. It's a built-in programming on us to worship this. We have this talab, this desire, this need inside each one of us, that we believe in one Rabb and we worship Him. And then yes, people go into deviations because of their society, because of different upbringing, or whatever their own desires or different things. But every person has this, is born with this fitra, to worship one Lord alone, and to believe in Him. Right? This is the built-in programming. And where do we get the evidence from? From Ahade Alast, that we made this contract, we made this mithaq with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that He is our Rabb and we will worship Him alone when we come to this earth. The second contract is mentioned with the people of the book, like in the same surah, Al Imran, in ayah number 187, that from the people of the book, that the ulama of the people of the book, they made this covenant that when deen comes to you, you won't hide it. Right? Whenever you learn something of knowledge, when something of deen comes to you, you won't hide it. Rather, you will share it with people. Right? And and in our deen too, we know that we are not supposed to hide haqq. We are supposed to share haqq. Like we're not supposed to hide it. If somebody needs some beneficial information and I have that beneficial information, I don't hide it from that person. I share it, right? And especially relates to the ayat of that were related to the Prophet ﷺ in their own books. That don't hide those books, those ayat, sorry, don't hide those ayat in your own books, which refer to the final prophet and which confirm, which they had started to hide because they didn't want people to kind of like go, and their congregations to go and start following the Prophet ﷺ, because they didn't want to lose the power that they had. And then we have this in Al Imran, ayah number 81, this mithaq which was done from all the prophets, that that they will believe in the prophet when they see. And a lot of places the covenants have been mentioned, like Surah Maida, ayah number 12, and Surah number 7, ayah 156 and 157. It's a covenant regarding unlettered prophet, that in your book there is, like there is this unlettered prophet and you will believe in him. And also we have another in Surah number 33, ayah number 7, that the prophets will support each other and at least those select few, the Musa alayhi salam, Isa alayhi salam, Nuh alayhi salam, like they will support each other if they are at the same time. So we have these the mention of this mithaq several times in the Quran. And like we said, a mithaq is something that is a strong pact. It is something that is written down. It's an agreement. It's an oath. It's a contract, right? So it has been there from all the prophets. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took this from all the prophets. And here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned Isri. Again, like I said, that this contract was not just any contract. This was a huge contract. It came with a responsibility that you're going to believe in him and you're going to help him. Meaning, like, for example, if any prophet came at the time of, there was one prophet who was already there, and another prophet came at the same time, and we know that multiple prophets came at the same time as well in the past. So another prophet comes, then this previous prophet is going to believe in and support and help the new prophet as well, right? And regarding this contract, which was taken from the prophets, there are different opinions on when it was taken. So some say that it was taken right after, in Alame Arwa, right after Ahdi Alast, that after all souls had taken a pact of that, all our ruh had taken the pact that we will worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone. Then the Ambiya were take all. Then this pact was taken from all the Ambiya that you will, when the book is sent to you and the wisdom is sent to you, and then there comes to you a Rasul who confirms that you will believe in him, and they all agreed. So one opinion is that it was taken right after the Ahd Alast in Alam Arwa itself. Another opinion is that in this life, it was not actually in Alam Arwa, but in this life, when a prophet, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave prophethood to somebody, right, and through wahi, and the books was given to him, or the wahi was given to him, then through this wahi, this contract was taken from them, right? And then they made this contract. Also, which Rasul is being mentioned here? Some say that it refers to any Nabi that comes after in the lifetime of another of this Nabi. So, for example, Harun alayhi salam came in the life of Musa alayhi salam. Musa alayhi salam was made the prophet first, and then Harun alayhi salam was made a prophet after him, and then they supported each other. They believed in each other. They supported each other. Similarly, Lut alayhi salam came in the life of Lut alayhi salam was given prophethood in the life of Ibrahim. Ibrahim alayhi salam was already a prophet, and Lut alayhi salam lived in the same time period as Ibrahim alayhi salam, and he was also given prophethood. So they were in the same time period. So some say that it refers to any prophet who comes in the lifetime of another prophet, then they're supposed to believe in them and they're supposed to work with each other. They're supposed to help each other. And another opinion is that this refers to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that every prophet was mentally prepared that if Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because nobody knew when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is coming. So every prophet was mentally prepared that if Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the final prophet, comes in your lifetime, then you will leave your Sharia and you'll start following him. Then you'll become his follower, right? And every prophet gave a um, gave a pact or a contract or a covenant to this regard. And Ali radiallahu anh says that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took this pact from every prophet that if Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam came in their lifetime, they will follow him and they will help him, and they will also teach the same thing to their followers. So, for example, if Musa alayhi salam is there and he's teaching his followers and everything, and if Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam had come in at the time of Musa alayhi salam, then not only would he follow and believe in and help the Prophet Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but he will also ask his followers, okay, we got to follow him now, right? So now everything else is abrogated, and now we follow the final prophet, and I'm his follower as well, and you are his follower as well. So the prophet would guide all of his followers to then go with the final prophet as well. So one point here is that some scholars mention here is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knew that the final prophet Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is going to come after in the end of times and a long time after Isa alayhi salam as well. So why did every prophet have to make this ahad? What's the significance of every prophet before him? Because Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is, yes, they didn't know, but Allah knew that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is not going to come in their lifetime. Then why did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala take this contract from all of them? Right, and there are some opinions about that. First is that through this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made everybody believe in Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is a Nabi for all people in all generations. Every other prophet was for a certain time period and for a certain generation and certain location. But Rasulullah is a prophet for all times and all generations. So by making this commitment, even though Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is not coming in their time, by making this commitment, they got the share of the sabab in believing in the prophet, the final prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Also, we know that when the first wahi came to the prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he was scared, and he went to Khadija radiallahu anha, and Khadija radiallahu anha took him to Waraka, who recognized that this is the Nabi that has been talked about. So, how did Waraka recognize that? Because Waraka had been learning from the people of the book, and that's how Waraka could recognize right away that you are the final prophet that has been talked about and everything. And he also said that I wish I would live to that time when your people your people will kick you out of your people will oppose you, and they'll you'll have to leave your city and everything. Because of then I wish I would be there to support you. I live long enough to support you, then I would support you, right? But how did he recognize the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Um, he recognized them through the teachings that he had learned from the people of the book, that about the characteristics of the final prophet, and what that he would be unlettered prophet. He would not be formally educated in the terms of reading and writing of this world, and yet the wahi would come to him and he would recite it and everything. And there were other things as well. Similarly, Najashi, we learn in the story in the Sirah that the ruler of Abyssinia, when he heard about Surah Maryam from Jafar radiallahu anha, and he learned about Islam, then he said that Isa alayhi salam and the teachings of Isa alayhi salam and the teachings of Islam are totally alike. There's not a fraction of difference between them. They're very alike. And so basically, what how did he get to that? Because it was confirming, the teachings of Islam were confirming what they had been taught by Isa alayhi salam. Musaddiqul lima ma'akum. Whatever they had already had with them, the teachings of Islam confirmed that, and they could tell that the it is from that, right? And what do we understand from this? That uh, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is rahmatul lil alameen. That he is, and we learned this even during Isra wal Miraj. That during Isra wal Miraj, we know that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam first went to Baitul Maqdis, and there he did the imamat of all the prophets. He led all the prophets in prayer, meaning he is the Sayyidul Mursaleen. He is the Sardar. He is the Sayyid of all the prophets. Is the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Also, on the day of judgment, we know from the hadith that when people would be waiting for the hisab to start, they will go to all prophets one by one. They start from Adam alayhi salam, they'll go to here. People will be so terrified, and it will be so that day will be so hard that people will be like, anything, we just want the hisab to start. They'll be so terrified, and everything would be so like it would be getting on their nerves. It's like after the exam's over and we are waiting for the result, and the result, it's like the the time of extreme panic that you don't know what's going to happen and everything. Plus there'll be so much horrors of the day of judgment. Everything will be different, and everything will be scary. There'll be no place to hide, and we know about so much things about the day of judgment, and people would want the judgments to start. So they will go to all prophets one by one, and every prophet will send them to the next one, like the, no, I'm not the one to do this. I'm not the one to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the hisab, and to start the hisab and everything, until they will reach the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who will have the flag of hamd with him. And then he will go to sajda, and he will praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He will, inshallah, he'll get to the maqam mahmud that we pray for. And then after he prays and makes the dua, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will start the hisab and everything. And that's the honor that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and also shows the leadership that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam has over all the other prophets. And we also learn from a hadith that when the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam once saw Umar radiallahu anhu, that he had a page of Torah in his hand, and he was reading from that. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam told Umar radiallahu anhu that, oh Umar, today, even if today Musa alayhi salam was here, and if you, instead of me, you would start following him while I am here, then you would have gone astray, even if Musa himself was there. Also, we know that from many hadith, we know that when Isa alayhi salam will come back, we know that Isa alayhi salam, there'll be a time of Imam Mahdi and there'll be a time of Dajjal. May Allah Ta'ala protect us from him. And then we also know that Isa alayhi salam will come back to this earth. And when he comes back, we know that he will not come as a prophet. Rather, he will come as a ummati of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He too will follow. He will follow the Quran and the Sunnah. He will not bring any fresh revelation. He's not coming as a prophet now. He came as a prophet earlier, but now he's coming as a leader in the ummah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Right. So we know that the nubuwwat of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is going to last till the day of judgment. It's not. There's no more prophet who's going to come. Isa Islam is going to come back, but not as a prophet anymore. So we know that every prophet is serious about this. This mithaq has been taken from all the prophets, and it's a responsibility upon them. It's a burden upon them that they are willingly and they took it upon themselves. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asked them, and they stand by it, right? Um, and Also we know that some people say that you know was the Prophet ﷺ a nabi for people before him as well? Like so, and how did the previous prophets know about the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ? Did they know his name? Did they know this? How did they know more about him, and how did they relate to him and all that stuff? The thing is, like whatever scholar says, what we know is from what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told us. We only stick to what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told us. The previous prophets knew that there is a final prophet, and how they knew him, where they knew him, and how much they knew, like from other than whatever we have been told, something that does not impact our own amal. We don't need to go into too much detail on that, because that leads to, because those things which are um, like those things which are not very not meant for our amal and everything, those are not necessary for us to know. If we keep going after those kind of things, then there is a danger for us um, to get go astray from them, because then people who want us to go astray from our deen, they use those things to deviate people away from the deen. So what we should do is, we should, whatever we understand, we take that, and for the rest of it we say Allahu Alam, right? And that's a very relieving statement as well when we say Allahu Alam, meaning like Allah knows best. Like I do the best up to my ability, and more than that, the burden is not upon me, right? Whatever knowledge Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give me, whatever I am convinced is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I'll take it. Whatever I'm convinced is from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I'm going to take it. Whatever I'm not sure, or whatever is not being told to me, I don't need to know that. Whatever I need to know, I take that. There is no need for unnecessary information, unnecessary going into things that is like, how did that happen? How did the Prophet ﷺ do imamat of all these prophets? Or where is Isa alayhi salam right now? Is he like in the first heaven? Is he in which heaven? Where is he located? Everything. It does not impact anything for us, where or how, in what state it is he's right now. How is he being fed? Does he eat food right now? Does he do like that? Does not impact us in any way. We know when he comes back, he will be coming back as an ummati, and he will live the same life as every other human being does, just like every other prophet did before us as well. Also, this this mithaq that the prophets did with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the mithaq that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took from all the prophets, this had a big impact on them, right? So every prophet gave this knowledge, gave this taught this to their followers as well about the last prophet, that when this last prophet comes, and believe in him and help him, meaning help in, not help him in the sense of help him in the sense of his personality, that like help him as in like, okay, he wants to conquer something, you go with him. He wants to earn money, you go and help him in his business and this and that. No, it means help him in his mission of spreading the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? So previous Anbiya are not there in this world anymore, but those people who had a balanced opinion, who had knowledge, they were waiting for the final prophet. Even some narrations even say that the Jews came and settled in Medina for the same reason, right? So the thing is, right, um, to for even the Jews and the Christians of today, if they want to totally follow their own deen, not even Islam, we're talking about their own deen. If they want to totally follow their own deen, then they will have to believe in the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, because their deen asks them to believe in the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So all the Jews and the Christians who truly follow their own deen, and but some of them don't have the knowledge, or they don't know what was there. Some of them do, right? So but when they get knowledge, for those who don't get knowledge, when they get knowledge, it is necessary for them to then believe in the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam to be able to fulfill their own deen. They have to do that, right? Also from this, we also understand the maqam and the fazilat of the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And we know that in the Torah and the Gospel, there were clear prophecies about this coming Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, for the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, to which the Quran has also made numerous references at different places. Quran says that, like in in your in your book, you were told this, you made this covenant that you will follow this prophet, that you will help this prophet, you'll work with him, meaning help him in his mission to spread the deen, you will be his supporters, like the Ansar were, right? So even in the existing Bible today, the Torah and the Bible today, in spite of all the changes and modifications that have been made, we still find the traces of these prophecies which are there, right? And also the Prophet ﷺ told us in a hadith that whoever heard about me, right, and then who heard about me and then still does not believe in me, does not bring iman upon me, then that person has made their abode in the fire, right? So whoever believes, whoever comes through, and that's all of us now, who does not know about the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. After the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam has come to this world, and now his knowledge has gone, when people come to know about him, then it is necessary for them, for people of faith, to believe in him, right? And also by saying that the prophets had made the pact with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Jews and the Christians, the people of the book, are being told through this that how can you deny? Your own prophets made this very pact with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How can you deny this? How can you deny this prophet? Your own prophets made this agreement that they will follow him and they will believe in him. So you claim to follow Musa. Musa wanted to be amongst the ummah of the Prophet. Musa made a pact with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that he will follow the Prophet Muhammad, and you say you claim that to follow Musa, then how can you not follow the Prophet Muhammad? You should be the first one to follow him, right? Also, this shows a beautiful, like, brotherhood between the prophets, that every prophet that came verified the one who came before him, and every prophet believed in and supported the prophet that came after them, right? And if we see any other field of this world, this does not happen in any other field of this of like, if we look at the history, we see that so many sons killed their fathers to be kings of the world. Like, so many people we know of in different dynasties, like this person was a king, and then this son plotted against his own father to become the king now. And we also know that even in the different fields of work today, or historically, even doctors, scientists, engineers, teachers, we see that a lot of us contradict and critique those before them, and they do not always believe and support those who come after them. Like, they want to keep their own, like, like, I'm at a certain status, I don't want anybody to reach that status. And we see a lot of, like, competitiveness, and like not letting anybody else go ahead, or not supporting anybody else in reaching a higher level. It's like, or always critiquing those before them, like, this person was wrong in this and I'm right in this was wrong in this and I'm right in this. So we see a lot of this in every field. But people still run to them today because they come up with these new theories, like, okay, this is a new theory that I've come with, and that's why people run to them. And unfortunately today, even some of our ulama have fallen prey to this critiquing of each other all the time. Like, may Allah Ta'ala protect us from that. But subhanallah, all the prophets, all the Anbiya, all of them did tasdeeq of other prophets. They were a brotherhood. They were combined. They were not at odds with each other. They were not like, they didn't have this sense of competition from each other. They had, if any of them came in their lifetime, and even if they didn't, they had this pact with Allah Subhanahu wa Taala that they will believe and they will help the other prophet. They will work together, right? And all this also shows that all the prophets have the same source. They are working with the same source. All the prophets are getting the wahi from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All the prophets have been appointed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They have the same mission, right? They have the same work to do. They have the same message to share, which is the message of Tawheed. All the prophets. And as we study the Quran more and more, we see the different prophets, whether it was Hud alayhi salam, or Saleh alayhi salam, or Musa alayhi salam, or Shuaib alayhi salam, or Isa alayhi salam, or Nuh alayhi salam. All of them, Lut alayhi salam, Ibrahim alayhi salam, Muhammad sallallahu alayhi salam, all of them actually had the same message of Tawheed. Yes, Sharia might be a bit different, but they all had the same message of Tawheed. It's almost like they're all the pearls in the same, like in the same tasbih. Right? They're all beads in the same tasbih. The thread running through it is the same thread, is the Tawheed. They have a distinct Sharia of their own time, maybe, but they have the same message. The core message is Tawheed. We also learn that how to be Rabbani. The prophets of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they did not work for the sake of their own fame or their power or having their own number of this number of followers and everything. They had not opened a business, right? They were working together. They were working for the sake of Allah. And when two people are working for the same sake, then they're together in that message. So whether it was Yahya alayhi salam or Isa alayhi salam, Ibrahim alayhi salam and Lut alayhi salam, Musa alayhi salam and Harun alayhi salam, they were working together. And today, if we look at ourselves as an ummah and as people, that we unfortunately we'll have to agree, this is our shortcoming, that we have to focus on making people Rabbani, like making people connected to the Rabb, not as our own followers. Not as having hasad from others, like how come this person has, like when this person has a class, he has so many people coming into their class, why are so many people not coming to my class, or why is this not happening in this thing, like in this. No, we are all working for the same mission. If I see somebody else teaching the same thing that I'm teaching, I should be happy that, the message of Allah is being shared. If it might not be me myself doing that, but even if somebody else is doing it, still the message of my Rabb, still the message of my Rabb being spread, and I should be happy if another person is doing a really good job, rather than feeling hasad, and rather than feeling like, oh my god, my followers are so less. It's not about my followers anyway. We are not we are not working to make people our followers. We are working to have people connect more with the Rabb, with our Rabb. And whoever else is working on the same mission is our brother or our sister, because they are doing the same thing. And we should be happy if somebody else is doing, if let's say somebody else in my city is doing a much better work than I'm doing, then I should be really happy for that. I should be happy, and I should support them, and I should help them in whichever way I can, right? And every prophet had said to his ummah, right, that that you need to follow this. Every prophet made this. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took this mithaq from every prophet, that they will believe in and they will help the final prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And these prophets asked their own followers to do that at the same time. When all of them had this contract, and all of them were held to this contract, then how about us? We are the ummati of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Like, it is even more so our responsibility to not just believe in him, but also to carry his mission forward. Yes, we will make mistakes. Yes, we will have fumbles. Yes, we will have, like some of us are like, okay, I cannot speak so well. That's fine. If we can't, if one of us is not into speaking, we could volunteer somewhere. We could give out flyers somewhere. We could cook for some place. We could clean some place. We could, doesn't matter what we do. And each one of us, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us some qualities which are distinct, which we have, which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has. There's nobody who's worthless. Allah subhanahu walaqad karamna bani Adam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has honored each one of us, first of all, by making us a human being. And He has honored every child of Adam without exception. Every child of Adam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala honored. Then we don't want to be honored and we want to fall down. That's a different scenario. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has honored each one of us. And then there's another honor on top of that honor that we have got by becoming the ummati of the Prophet ﷺ. And that becoming the ummati of the Prophet ﷺ comes with the responsibility. It's not, like they say, Every power that you have, it comes with a responsibility. Every talent that you have comes with the responsibility, right? So this honor upon honor that we have got, it's not just a title that we put on ourselves and we are happy with that title and we go on. No, and it's not. And helping the prophet does not mean that we are just like we get into gatherings and we start singing Naate and Nasheed, and we are just singing and we're just we're just enjoying that thing, and we are just like going round and round, and we are like moving that, oh wow, and we're just declaring our love but not doing anything, right? How to help and how to believe in him and how to help him, we have to learn from the Sahabas. How did they do it, right? What were they doing? What did it mean to, when the Prophet ﷺ passed away, within a few weeks Medina was empty. Why was Medina empty? Because the Sahabas went in this direction and that direction. They felt the burden that, okay, now, until the Rasulullah ﷺ was there, he was taking decisions and sending people and this and then. But now the Khalifa will send the people, okay, you have to go and we have to spread the message. Now we have this responsibility now. Now that responsibility has come upon us. And by extension, that responsibility has come upon us, each one of us, in whatever way we can. And Allah subhanahu, the Prophet ﷺ told us that in a hadith, that each one of us is a shepherd of our own flock. So each one of us will have some people that we influence, whether it's our brothers and our sisters, or our parents, or our children, or our spouses, or our neighbors, or our community members, our friends, our work people, our customers, our clients, the people who we take service from, like whom we are the clients of. No matter who we are interacting with, there's so many people we are interacting with. Who can we support? Who can we spread this message to? It is our responsibility to spread this message of Islam in whatever capacity we can, in whatever we can do, whatever way we can. And for each one of us, it will be different. Somebody, to somebody, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given the opportunity, the tawfiq to speak and everything and share, then they speak. To another person, some other sadaqah, some other way of like getting to another person, or speaking one on one maybe, or sharing something, or even sharing the links of something, or encouraging somebody to join a class or something. All these are means that we could be of help, right? So we can think of what how we can help, and we help this mission of Rasulullah. And the purpose is not to help this person or that person. The purpose should always be towards towards helping the cause of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, because Allah Subhanahu wa Taala sent the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, right? And today, may Allah Ta'ala forgive us, we find it hard to say things about Islam even to other Muslims. Even to other Muslims. And did the Sahaba, did they not have this stress? They had this stress too, right? This mission is not easy. It has a burden. It has a weight, this mission, right? And it's not easy. And sometimes when we start on this mission, we like, we hear um, we hear nasty things from people, and sometimes people close to us, like, you have become a Mulani, you have become like so old fashioned, and you used to be so smart, and now look at you, how you have become, you're so boring, and you're like, you don't want to go to any parties anymore, and you're going to be like, you want to do just like you're just talking about Allah all the time, and like, what's going on with you? And this, we'll hear things from people, and look at you, how you dress up now, your dress up has changed and everything. But the thing is, being a Muslim, and having carrying this mission of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, it was never meant to be easy. So we have to develop this thick skin. We have to develop a thick skin, that every time if somebody says something to us and we start to crumble under the weight of what they have said, then we will not be able to carry this forward, right? And today we see people, today more than ever, we see people who do sin openly, who are sinning openly, and they're proud of sinning. They're they're actually they're literally proud. They call it pride, right? They're proud of sins, right? And they sin openly and everything. But those who are praying and following the deen, they are shy and they are stressed and they are scared and everything. Do we have confidence that we are standing on haq? If we don't have that confidence, if our own confidence is a bit shaky, then we will be a bit shy to talk about it. Then we will hesitate. Rather, the people who are not on haq, they are so happy about it. They're just sharing it left right. They have no sense of lack of confidence, no shyness, nothing. But why do we have this sense of like this inferiority complex, or this thing that we don't have the confidence, or we are not No, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us of those people who understand that we have the weight of this mission. And although it's not easy, but it is the, when we are doing something for the sake of Allah, we are carrying on the mission of the prophets. It's a very honorable mission. And yes, we will make mistakes. Definitely, we will make mistakes. We are human beings. We are full of mistakes. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala never demanded perfection from us. He never once asked us in the Quran or the Hadith, asked us for perfection. Perfection belongs to Him alone. We cannot be perfect. We will make mistakes. We can and we will make some mistakes. There will be slip of tongue. May Allah Ta'ala forgive me for any slip of tongue or any or all the mistakes that I make in this session and every other session. I cannot speak without the help of Allah subhanahu. Definitely, whatever we're doing, this is a mission of the Prophet. So we cannot do it by ourselves. We need the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is Allah who makes us do these things. But then we have to stand up, right? We have to stand up. There is a weight for it, and we bear witness and we take care of that. And then going ahead to the next ayah, for going back to the context of the people of the book of that time, who were the primary addressees of this surah, especially the Christians of that time and also the Jews of Medina, that they had made this contract with the prophets, right? So even after this, even after making this contract, if they turn away, right? Faman tawalla. And then whoever, after this contract, then whoever turns away, ba'da dhalika, after this, fa'ulaika humul fasikun. Then those are the ones who are the fasik, right? So um, in some of the books it's mentioned that a historical context that is mentioned is that at the time of Musa alayhi salam, whenever he would get an instruction from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it was the practice of Musa alayhi salam that what he would do is he would gather the community, or at least the chiefs of every tribe, and he would place the ark in front of them. Then he would admonish them, then he would recite to them the commandments that he had received from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and then he would take a mithaq from them to obey it, right? So it was his practice. So they were doing things in a community, that they would have this mithaq, and they would make this commitment upon the commandments that they had taken from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And how tragic it is that the same people who so passionately and so zealously they guarded the law that they had, right? But they violated almost every single commandment after that. Like they guarded the law, but they are violating every single commandment. So ba'da dhalika, after, like they made all these commitments with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and then they turned away from that. How tragic that they turned away. And astaghfirullah, like many of us are many of our Muslims today are not much different as well. We say La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, but we go and we pray at the graves. We pray to the graves. Like it's okay to pray for the person in the, okay to pray to Allah for the person. Ya Allah, bless this person in the grave, right? But it is not okay to pray to the person in the grave that okay, you ask Allah for me. No, astaghfirullah. That person needs help. Who's in the grave? That person needs help in the qabr. That person cannot help us. If he could have helped us, he would have got out himself. If he could be of any help to anyone, then he would not need people to give him a ghusl and put him in the qabr, right? He would have just went in himself, and he would not have been in the qabr himself. Who wants to be in the qabr? Nobody would have wanted to be in the qabr, right? So we have this responsibility that just like we have this responsibility when we say La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, astaghfirullah. uh, just like we have made a commitment by saying La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, similarly, all these people before us, they had made this commitment with their prophets. The prophets had made their commitment with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and all the people had made a commitment with the prophet. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave haqq to all the previous nabis. The mention of the Prophet sallallahu was there in the books, and they were told to share this message with their followers and the coming generations, meaning the ulama of the people of the book were given all this information, but they tried to hide it after this, after having made this contract. So it is mentioned that their example is like a kind of a person. Like there is a lamp which is burning. There's a chirag that is burning, and what they do is they put a cloth on top of it, thinking that I don't want the light to go to other people. But what are they doing? They're burning their own cloth, right? Or they're extinguishing it for themselves, right? So what the ulama of the people of the book did, they tried to hide the truth. They had tried to hide the truth. And by doing that, they made themselves, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made them themselves the fuel of the fire. The same principle, the scary thing is, the same principle was there yesterday. Allah, the sunnah of Allah does not change. The same principle was yesterday and same principle is there today as well, right? Um, the the message for Muslims, for us Muslims, is that we need to have this deep relationship with our deen, right? And instead of ascribing ourselves to people, we should become Rabbani. We should connect ourselves to our Rabb, right? Um, and if we hide something from people, what happens is, if we have if somebody has the beneficial information of deen, especially, and they hide it from others, they don't share it with others, the first person they're depriving from this benefit of this is themselves, right? The Prophet ﷺ said, the best of the people are you who learn the Quran and who teach the Quran, right? Who learn and who teach the Quran. So if we are learning, if you're not making an effort to share anything, we're like, okay, I have come to know, I'm not going to share it with anybody. I'm the only person who's like doing this. If you don't share anything, then then we don't revise it. Like, by sharing, we revise the message. It's a reminder. When somebody's speaking, when you're sharing the message with somebody, when I'm sharing the message with somebody, it's a reminder, first of all, for myself. I need a reminder more than anybody else. I'm in need of this reminder. And in sharing the reminder with somebody else, I get that reminder too, right? And the problem of the ulama of Yahud, what was their problem? Why were they not being able to do this? Why did they become like this? Because of takabbur, right? Because of being arrogant. That why should we bow down? Why this person is not from Bani Israel? This is from Bani Ismail. Why should we like follow somebody from Bani Ismail? Right? And even in Muslims today, we find two extremes when dealing with the people of the book. Some people, some of the Muslims, we see we are in so much in awe of them. We are like, okay, anything they do, we'll just follow. You're like, this is the modern thing, this is the good thing. Anything which the people of the book are not doing, it's backward. Anything that they are doing, if if our own people are doing it, you're like, why are you doing this? But if we see some other person of the book doing it, we're like, oh wow, this is so good. We should be doing it too, right? And there's the other extreme that we don't recognize any good in them. It's like, nahi, they're kafir, they're this, they're that. No, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala taught us to open our eyes and live our life, right? And even if at that time, like there was a lot of at the time of the Prophet ﷺ in Medina, there was a lot of negative propaganda against Islam at that time too. There's a lot of negative propaganda against Islam in our time too, right? So what do? We should collect all resources in the places. If we are living in a place where there's a lot of propaganda against Islam or our message, we should collect all the resources that we have. Then we should try our best to show the best face of Islam and follow the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? Some people who haven't read the Quran, but they read about Islam in newspapers and like other media and everything, they mistake that to be Islam. Right? And for us, we shouldn't like what does it mean by opening our eyes and looking? Like we shouldn't look at how people perceive Islam to be. Rather, we should look at what Islam really is. What did Allah SWT teach in the Quran? What did the Prophet ﷺ teach in the Hadith? How did the Sahabas practice it? How did the Prophet ﷺ show us about it? And as regards to the people of the book or other people, neither are we have a as Muslims, we are supposed to have a very balanced approach. Neither are we like extremely in love that we are like, okay, whatever they do, we'll follow them. No, we follow the Prophet ﷺ and the Sahabas, but we don't hate them either, right? We don't close our eyes and follow somebody. We have to wake up and we have to wake others up as well. That's our mission. We have to wake up and wake others up as well. And this will happen when ilm would be there, right? And when we are ourselves broken up, then we cannot bring people together. We need to develop taqwa not just at the individual level, but also at the community level. And individual level, we polish our taqwa through ibadat, through salat, through roza, through hajj, all these things. We have this individual taqwa, right? For the community taqwa, we have to, what will happen is that it will change the state of Muslims. It will change the state of people. It will, when we learn to work together, about different things, right? And when we have to work together, when we have to um, work with each other and everything, then we have to first follow ourselves. We cannot ask somebody, okay, you do this, you do this. Like, we cannot tell the people, I cannot be a volunteer in the masjid parking lot and then I'm like telling everybody to park correctly, but I parked my car at the most like weird angle and blocking two spaces and not parking at the right place and this and that. I cannot be doing that myself. First, if I'm a volunteer at some place, I need to follow the rules myself. Then other people that I'm telling them, they will take me seriously, right? And in this path there are difficulties that come, but what makes these difficulties easy is the muhabba of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is the love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? Then as the love of Allah increases, then it's like indirectly proportionate. As the love of Allah increases, the amount of botheration we have by what people say decreases. It's like when we get hold of diamonds, then we don't worry about like stones and pebbles anymore. Like I have diamonds, right? Why would I worry about these? When a person really loves Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and then when we really wish, our biggest wish is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala looks at me on the day of judgment and looks at me with rahmah, with love, then it won't, if that's my goal, if that's what I'm looking at, then it wouldn't bother me whether people love me or hate me, right? And whoever does not have this love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then when they hear about the things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is angry about, or like what are the commandments of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or breaking about those commandments or keeping those commandments, they wouldn't even care about that. Because the love, the core, what is the core? Why does somebody become fasik? Why does somebody disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? What is the root cause of disobeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? We all know the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, yet some of us who have the same knowledge, some of us rush to obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, while some of us feel so hesitant, and some of us blatantly disobey. They defiantly disobey. They disobey and like, I don't even care. Like they do it like that, right? But how does somebody get to that stage? How does somebody become like that? It's the core of it, the inside. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us the diagnosis. What's inside is that in the inside, the core is the muhabba of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When we love Allah, when the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is there, when we really want Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be pleased with us, when we are afraid that I hope Allah doesn't get angry. I like, this would be the worst loss if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not happy with me. When that keeps a person awake at night thinking that what if Allah is upset with me? Like, I want Allah to love me, like I want Allah's rahmah and everything. Then that person will take every command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala seriously. That person will think twice. Yes, disobedience might happen, mistakes will happen. Mistakes happen from the prophets as well, Adam alayhi salam as well. Mistake happened. But then what happened right after the mistake? Even during the mistake, he was being misled. It was a mistake. It was not like defiant disobeying that he forgot, right? And then Shaitan did waswasa and this and that, and he ate from the tree, but he forgot at that time. And Shaitan did a lot of waswasa and everything. But as soon as he realized what he had done, what happened? ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين. Ya Allah, I've made a mistake. I've done dhulm on my own nafs. And if you don't forgive me, then I'll be of the losers. I'll be of the losers, right? So that is the true muhabba of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that whoever wants to, whoever wants to associate with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whoever wants the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then when they come across the ayat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then they don't they don't just listen to the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and just stay quiet about it. They cry about those. They worry that, Ya Allah, I don't want to be of the fasiqun. Ya Allah, I don't want to be of such people. I want to be of the people that you love. Right? So for example, Musa alayhi salam, he wanted to know from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Ya Allah, what are the things that make you happy? Ya Allah, and what are the things that make you upset? Ya Allah, I want to avoid the things that make you upset, and Ya Allah, I want to do the things that make you happy because I love you, Ya Allah. Right? So and also, and however much we love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah loves us way more than however much we love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So for example, when a mom is upset with a child, she says, you know what, I'm very upset with you, go, I don't want to talk to you anymore, right? But even when she's upset with the child, even when she's upset and she's not talking to the child or anything, she would never take her child and throw the child herself in the fire. right? When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is upset with somebody, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is angry with somebody, He doesn't talk to them like He. But when the people, it is when people keep sinning and moving away and moving away and moving away and moving away, that's when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't. They put themselves in the fire. Allah does not want to put any of us in the fire. Any of us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives all of us, and He gave all the people of the book as well. And He gives people of the book today. He gave them yesterday, He gives them today the opportunities to come back to them. He'll show the message to them. The message will reach every one of them, and there will be a point when they will understand. Right? But then if people keep going away and or going away and going, if people understand, come face to face with the truth, come face to face with something that confirms what is already with them, and they claimed to be believing it, they claimed to be following it, they claimed to be worshippers of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they understood that this is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and yet they turn away from it, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not need them anymore. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not in need. He's Ghani. He doesn't need any of us. And just like, what we do is when we have a lot of rubbish, a lot of garbage and everything, sometimes what do? We just put it in the fire. We just burn it off to get rid of it, right? And so such people, there's no use of them anymore. Like who are fasik, who are like who turn away after all of this, then then there is no point. And here, one point to note here is that although it is mentioned that Allah took this mithaq from the prophets and the prophets agreed and everything, and then whoever turns away after this, the prophets were never one who would turn away from the mithaq. The prophets were the most righteous people, unlike the people of the book and the deviations or the changes that are mentioned in the Torah and the Bible and other places today. As Muslims, what we believe is believe all the prophets were pure. Yes, mistakes happened, but they were pure. They never sinned. They never sinned. They were not sinners at all, and they were never disobedient. They were never of the fasiqun. But what happens? For example, let's say a mother has many children, but by calling the one who's like the best child of them and the most beloved and the best, the most well behaved as well, when a mother gathers all the children and gives this instruction to this like the most well behaved child, that okay, you're not supposed to do this, you're not supposed to do this, you're not supposed to do this. What is the message? Who's the message being given to? The message is being given to all of them, but through this child, through all of them, right? Similarly, these ayat, they look to be addressing the prophets, as like as continued from the previous ayah, from the ayah number 81 here, but it is telling the followers of all the prophets. And we also know that in the Quran, many times Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala addresses the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but it is meant to, many times it is meant to address the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam himself, and many times it is also meant to address the Prophet ﷺ and through him, his followers, right? So again here, that the prophets would never be the one to turn away, but whoever turns away, meaning the followers of these prophets, that whoever turns away after this, right, they would be of the fasik. And even if the prophets had turned away, if the prophets had, they would never turn away. But if they had, if hypothetically speaking, if they had turned away, then even they would have become of the fasik, meaning the itaat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. None of us has this ability to stay on the obedience and to protect ourselves from the disobedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, except by the power and the assistance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's why we say la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. There's no capability from in me. Like when I say, I cannot judge a sinner because there is no capability in me also to stop myself from the same sin, except that Allah has protected me from it. Like if I see a liar and I'm not one of the liars, I speak truth, and I see a liar, then I should pray for him. I should do what I can to help him get out of that and everything. And I should hate the sin, but I should not hate the sinner, because what? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given me this ability to protect myself, because this is not my own ability. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given me this ability to stay away from it. So those people who are disobedient, they keep pushing themselves away, 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 and then they, like we learn about shaitan, like he was Fafasaka and Amri Rabbi. He broke the commandment of his sustainer in Surah Kahf, ayah number 50, right? He got out of the itaat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when we look at in the terms of the people of the book that we are learning about, even after the firm covenant was taken from them, even after the smithak was taken from them in respect of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, if these people now deviate from their pledged word, the word that they had given, now they deviate from this, then this action of theirs, this action of turning away, is a clear proof of their disobedience. It's a clear proof of their fisk, of them turning away. Anybody else turns away, they didn't know about it. But them, they will turn away. They had, they already had a covenant with respect to the final prophet. They were waiting from him. They had all the information about him. They saw him, they recognized him, and they are the one going to turn away. He is confirming what they have with them, and they are going to turn away, right? And this is a clear proof of their disobedience. Although they have put on this like this garb of devotion and worship, people look at them, they're like, oh, they are so good worshippers, they're so pious and everything. And in the eyes of the world, they might be considered as the religious people, but in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and in the eyes of truth, what are they? They are the fasikun. May Allah Ta'ala protect us from being of the fasikun. May Allah Ta'ala make us of those people who He loves and who love Him and who follow Him, who obey Him to the best of our ability. May Allah Ta'ala make us of those people that when we make a commitment with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that we stick to that commitment, whether it was the Ahad Alast or whether it is in this world when we say La ilaha illallah. May Allah Ta'ala make us of those people who love and respect our prophets and who believe in all the prophets of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and who follow the commandments of our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Subhanaka Allahumma ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. Just like Allah Ta'ala joined us as sisters in Islam in this world, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reunite us as sisters in Islam on the day of judgment under the shade of His throne when there will be no shade except His, and then once again in Jannatul Firdaus. May Allah Ta'ala accept this effort of us coming together and trying to connect more with His word. And although any shortcomings in this thing are mine and mine alone, because I'm human, open to mistakes, and for all the mistakes made, I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive me. All the things that were said incorrectly, or like there was slip of tongues, and there were things, there were hesitations, there were things like, may Allah ta'ala forgive for all those mistakes and any other mistakes that I don't know about. May Allah, and any goodness that comes from this talk or any other talk by myself or any other person for the sake of His deen, all goodness is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone. May Allah ta'ala still accept from all of us despite our mistake. May Allah ta'ala make this a means of increasing our iman, and may Allah ta'ala make us helpers of each other, of helpers of people. When we see other people working for the sake of deen, may Allah ta'ala make us their helpers. May Allah, and not have hasad attack us. May Allah Ta'ala protect us from the whisperings of shayateen in this regard, and make us a united ummah who work for the sake of the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and carry the mission of our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم آمين يا أرحم الراحمين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.